I was for 2 years, the commander of the U.S. Air Force Honor Guard. And the Honor Guard does a lot of really fascinating things. And one of them, of course, is funerals in Arlington National Cemetery for not just, people who fall in battle, but people who, serve for a long time, and some of them with great distinction, and some of them in foreign conflicts. And we had one for a former World War II veteran, former Army Air Corps at the time. And this individual happened to have been in the U.S. Senate. But because he was a long-serving senator who had been in the Army Air Corps, we had a lot of important people showed up. And my phone rings, and it's a retired 4-star Air Force general who announces that he is a friend of the family of the senator who has passed on, and he has some very specific ideas about how the funeral should go. Funerals are very highly scripted events, right? And you train your honor guard and your band and all of the people who are involved in a funeral and how to do it a particular way. And so he wanted to throw in some curveballs. And one of the curveballs was there was going to be a 4-ship flyover of F-22 fighter jets, which is not unusual, but he wanted it to occur on the last note of TAPS. Well, TAPS comes, of course, at the end of all of what we call military honors. So there's going to be a 3-volley salute of the rifle guard is going to shoot 3 volleys, and then TAPS goes, right? Well, so that's going to take some amount of time, less than 4 minutes. And why is 4 minutes important? That's when you call in the fighters, right? They can't just fly around above head in Washington, D.C. because there's air traffic there. So you have to call them in 4 minutes out. So, and I say, sir, you do understand, if I go back 4 minutes from the last order of TAPS, it's going to back us up to like in the middle of the chaplain's remarks. And he says, don't worry, I got the chaplain. And I'm thinking, right. So I call my boss. I say, look, this just happened. He has a fit. He says, he can't do that. I say, yeah, who's going to stop him? I actually ended up going out there, walking around the site with the retired general, and the guy from Air Combat Command who was going to have the radio to call in the jets. So day of the funeral, we've got all of these high-ranking officials there. We've got senators. We've got the Secretary of Defense is there. And I am standing at the foot of the casket in the middle of the chaplain's remarks. And I'm looking over the shoulder of the Air Force Chief of Staff at the head of the casket. Over his shoulder, I can see the Secretary of Defense, Bob Gates. Standing next to him is the retired 4-star general. And standing next to him is the guy with the radio. And the chaplain is talking. And at a certain point, I see the general lean over and whisper something to the guy with the radio. Apparently, that was clearly the 4-minute out mark, right? So he has timed the chaplain's remarks so that he knows exactly how much time he has left. And the chaplain is talking, and the chaplain is talking, and he's still talking. And I'm thinking, this is not going to work. And so as soon as the chaplain says amen, I immediately start into military honors, and I can already hear the jets, right? And they show up not on the last note of TAPS, but on the first note of TAPS, which means, of course, that nobody can hear TAPS. So it worked perfectly, except for the part that nothing worked. But of course, we knew that. But yeah, and I asked the general afterwards how he thought about it, and he said it was fine. So it was a day in the life, I guess, of Washington, D.C., of official Washington, where you plan everything down to the T and nothing quite ever works.
Well, Ray, as long as the guest of honor didn't complain.